That day was a stormy one. A young man was enjoying the scenery on a bus to school when suddenly a monster appeared out of nowhere. It was as big as a building, and with just one wave of its hand, everything around it was completely destroyed. The image of that terrifying monster still exists in his mind to this day. The boy, startled awake from the dream, quickly checked his clock and realized he had overslept and was about to be late. He hurriedly prepared his books and things for school. This boy, Noi, is a second-year high school student currently living with his father. Because his father is always busy with work, Noi feels like he's living alone. Many people might envy him, but Noi doesn't see it that way because that life is quite difficult. After the bus ride, Noi arrived at school. In the vibrant school life, students were playing with each other. As Noi was walking to class, his friend Haki appeared to greet him. Seeing Haki intensely focused on his gaming device made Noi curious, so he leaned in to see what game his friend was playing. Haki happily showed it to Noi, explaining that this latest game was extremely popular and very novel. Just at a glance, Noi immediately recognized it as the Blade and Saber game. Noi grabbed Haki's gaming device. He had only heard about the game but never touched it before. Haki took the opportunity to brag that his uncle was a programmer at the game publishing company, so Haki had been given an early test version. This meant they were among the few people who could play this game before its release. Just then, a blue-haired girl appeared, snatching the gaming device from Noi's hand, reminding the two boys that the homeroom teacher's class was about to start. If they continued chatting like this, they'd definitely be late and punished. Noi was quite familiar with Cass's personality, so he just gave a perfunctory reply and left. As he walked, he happily thought about the Blade and Saber game. Not watching where he was going, Noi bumped into another girl. He looked up to apologize and blushed intensely. She was incredibly beautiful, with long flowing hair and red eyes that made Noi's heart flutter. Someone this beautiful couldn't be an ordinary girl. Even though she was just going to school, she was accompanied by two tall, dark bodyguards. The red-haired bodyguard, seeing Noi bump into his young lady, was about to teach Noi a lesson when the blue-haired one stopped him. The latter was gentler and only lightly cautioned Noi. At that moment, the Academy's warning siren sounded, alerting everyone to an impending Level 5 disaster. The warning echoed throughout the city, urging residents to evacuate immediately. The sky, which had been clear just moments ago, had now turned pitch black. A lightning bolt struck down, and from it appeared a gigantic monster. While others fled in panic, Noi was excited. He wasn't afraid at all but rushed up to the rooftop to observe the monster. This worried Cass and Haki immensely. If the monster targeted their location, they would all be in grave danger. Noi remained indifferent, insisting the monster wasn't headed their way. No sooner had he said this than, somehow, the monster turned and fired a blast directly at where Noi was standing. Noi would have perished if not for the school's protective barrier. Quickly, the City of Saber's defense team arrived. On the captain's orders, a sniper from a distance aimed directly at the monster's eye and pulled the trigger. The monster howled in pain, giving the Saber team a chance to unleash a barrage of bullets into its body. In just a moment, the monster collapsed and died instantly. Watching how they fought so cohesively only strengthened Noi's determination. He vowed that one day in the future, he would become a member of the Saber team. Haki was a bit curious if it was because monsters like that had harmed Noi's parents. Noi immediately denied this, saying he wanted to join the Saber team solely to protect others. After everything settled, the three returned to class, only to find their homeroom teacher standing there with the beautiful young lady from earlier. After scolding the group for being late, the teacher introduced Modus to the class. From today, she would be their classmate. Noi was fortunate to be seated right next to the school's new goddess. Because he was late, Noi was punished and had to finish his homework before he could leave. It wasn't until late afternoon that Noi completed it. As he was leaving with Cass, she spotted two beautiful cats and happily went to photograph them to show Noi. Meanwhile, Noi noticed that Modus had not yet gone home, so he approached to greet her. Seeing no response from her, Noi thought he might be bothering the goddess, so he embarrassingly tried to make an excuse to leave. Suddenly, Modus stopped him, asking him to date her. Cass overheard this, was shocked, and dropped her camera before walking away. Modus didn't explain anything further to Noi and left directly. Noi had to pick up the camera and find Cass. The two stood in a corner talking to each other. Noi remained very calm, but Cass wasn't the same because she genuinely liked Noi. After hearing Modus's dating proposal, Cass knew she had to act now. Just as she was about to confess her feelings to Noi, a monster suddenly appeared and attacked them. Noi quickly grabbed Cass's hand and fled. The school clearly had a barrier, so how could this monster appear here? Noi couldn't understand. He He pulled Cass into a nearby room to hide. Just an iron door wouldn't stop the monster for long. With the sharp weapon in its hand, it began to frantically smash the door. Soon, it would find its way in. Noi hastily picked up an axe from the wall, ready to confront it. During that time, Cass would have to go and alert everyone to evacuate. Cass, frightened, knelt down and refused, saying she couldn't leave Noi alone as it was too dangerous. Noi had to sit down and encourage her. Everyone in the school was important to him, and he wouldn't let anyone die today. Moreover, if they just sat here, both of them would perish soon anyway. The monster had broken through the door and poked its head in. There was no more time for hesitation. Noi jumped out to confront the monster, giving Cass an opportunity to run past it. Of course, all of their actions were seen by the monster. It couldn't let Cass escape so easily. 2 tentacles on its back shot straight at Cass. She almost got hit, but thankfully, Noi reacted quickly and blocked the attack, urging Cass to leave immediately. Cass was still very worried about Noi, but at this point, she couldn't help him much. So she ran all the way down to the first floor and took out her phone to call the city's defense team for help. On the rooftop, with just an axe, Noi endured each of the monster's attacks, and his body was getting more and more battered. The monster's attacks were too fierce. Noi had managed to cut off one of its tentacles and swung the axe into the monster's shoulder. But that was all he could do. The monster wasn't fazed at all and instead knocked Noi away. It pulled the axe from its shoulder, preparing to kill Noi, when suddenly its arm was cut off by something. Noi looked up in bewilderment to see a girl in a Blade Guard uniform who had come to save him. She was far superior to this monster. With just one sword strike, she had split the monster in half. She then approached Noi and offered him a healing potion. But Noi refused since his wounds weren't that serious. Too focused on Noi's injuries, the girl didn't realize the monster wasn't dead yet. Despite being cut in half, it lunged at her. One attack knocked off her protective helmet, revealing her true face. Much to Noi's surprise, it was his classmate Modus. The monster's sneak attack made Modus lose control of the battle, and she was stabbed in the stomach and collapsed. In this most desperate moment, Noi's manly courage rose once more. He picked up Modus's sword without hesitation and lunged to pierce the monster's body. This time, it truly died. Noi then returned the healing potion Modus had given him earlier. It was incredibly effective. As soon as Modus used it, the wound on her stomach healed immediately. Modus then retrieved her weapon, while Noi kept praising her, saying how wonderful it would be if everyone knew Modus was a member of the Blade team. Immediately, Modus's sword was pointed at Noi's face. She threatened that Noi must forget everything that happened today. If anyone else found out, Noi would die. Noi, scared, quickly agreed, but according to Modus's request, he might also have to forget her confession. Noi started lamenting whether that was the right choice, as in truth, he also quite admired Modus. Just then, Modus's bodyguard arrived. He immediately rushed to examine the monster's corpse. It had appeared inside the school without setting off alarms, which was suspicious. At this point, the bodyguard noticed the wound on his young lady's stomach. He immediately grabbed Noi by the collar, accusing him, saying wherever Noi was, his lady seemed to get injured. Modus didn't bother to help Noi, directly knocking him out and leaving him for Kaken to handle. She left just as Cass returned, who was frightened to see Noi unconscious and ran to check on him. Afterwards, Noi was carried home directly by Kaken. It wasn't until late evening that Noi groggily woke up from the nightmare. His wounds had been carefully treated, and Cass was even by the bedside, dozing off. Noi didn't wake her but went directly to the kitchen to get a can of water to refresh himself. After a while, Cass woke up and rushed out to the living room to sit with Noi. She then recounted everything that had happened about Officer Kaken, and Cass even thought Kaken was the one who had saved Noi. Noi was about to tell Cass the truth, but remembering Modus's threat, he decided against it, fearing her punishment. The atmosphere became somber, and Cass once again mentioned Modus's confession. Noi had thought about this, and according to him, it wasn't completely a confession. He believed the thoughts of young ladies are very complex, so in Noi's view, Modus must have had her own reasons. It was getting late, and it was time for Cass to go home. Noi decided to escort her, thinking, how could I let a girl return home alone at night, especially after she just took care of me? Meanwhile, in a nearby alley, a woman was running for her life, desperately seeking a way to escape. Despite her best efforts, she ultimately couldn't escape the scythe of death. The next morning, the alley where the murder took place was filled with police. Officer Kaken was also dispatched to investigate the cause of the victim's death. Noi, passing by on his way to school, stopped to peek in curiously. After examining the body, all Kaken could determine was the victim's identity, a student between 15 and 20 years old. Kaken recognized Noi, and the two moved to a corner to talk. But first, Kaken didn't forget to threaten Noi, saying that if he dared to give his young lady any trouble, Noi would be the first to lose his head. Regarding the body in the alley, Kaken had investigated thoroughly. It had been there since early morning, and the killer had likely struck the night before. However, based on the marks on the victim's body, Kaken couldn't determine whether it was caused by a human or a monster. Noi then headed to school, thinking about yesterday's events. The monster that appeared at school didn't trigger any alarms, which was strange. If it didn't appear alone, it's possible that other monsters were still hiding in the city. Lost in thought, Noi bumped into the class president, who had been waiting for him for a long time, holding out her hand for Noi's self-criticism report. Noi had completely forgotten to write it, so he quickly made up an excuse about encountering a monster yesterday, asking for more time. This excuse could only fool fools. There's no way the class president would believe Noi. Angry, she grabbed Noi's tie, about to drag him to the homeroom teacher's office, when Modus appeared and stopped them. Noi's self-criticism report was in her hand. After receiving what she needed, the class president had no reason to stay and left. Modus praised Noi's actions, saying he had kept his promise not to reveal her secret. The atmosphere became more romantic as Modus looked directly at Noi, making him think she was about to confess to him again. But no, all Modus wanted was to be friends with Noi. Seeing that Noi didn't object, she was very happy and immediately pulled him away. This was also the reason Modus had come to school, which both her bodyguards knew. Haki, walking right behind Noi, witnessed everything. But at this point, he just wanted to play his game, so he didn't bother greeting Noi. Just as they entered the classroom, Cass rushed up to ask about Noi's whereabouts. Haki immediately revealed that Modus had taken Noi away. Modus continued to pull Noi out of the school, skipping class, which made Noi a bit scared, but Modus didn't care. To her, this was just a small matter. So the two got on a bus and skipped class to hang out. On the bus, Modus shared about her previous life. Since she was young, she had been buried in studies, so this was the first time she had ever gone out to play with a friend. The two held hands, went to eat, watched movies, played claw machines, and then had ice cream. Finally, Modus saw a lingerie store and immediately ran in to play. This was not a place for Noi. He stood inside very awkwardly as people around kept talking about him. As students, Noi and Modus should have been in school right now. Modus wasn't shy at all and directly asked Noi to help her choose lingerie. Then she happily ran into the changing room. Right at that moment, the monster alarm sounded. The appearance area was very close to where Noi was standing. With a mission at hand, playtime had to be put on hold. Modus changed into her battle outfit and came out of the changing room. Noi also bravely accepted the mission to evacuate the citizens for her. Noi ran frantically through an alley and finally confirmed the monster's location, but he was quickly spotted by it. It turned to chase Noi. An ordinary person like him couldn't outrun this monster. Noi tripped and almost died, but luckily, a blonde girl suddenly appeared and saved his life. She laughed out loud, declaring that Noi would be her prey today, then immediately took a bullet from behind. Because Noi was standing close to the blonde girl, the attacker couldn't shoot again. Noi didn't understand what was happening, but still gallantly carried the blonde girl out of the alley to treat her wounds. The girl who had attacked was a member of the Saber team, while the blonde girl wore the Blade team's outfit. The two started fighting as soon as the blonde girl recovered from her injuries. Just now was the only opportunity for the Saber girl to kill her, but she had missed it, so now the blonde would return everything. The Saber girl remained very calm in her counterattack. Everything was part of the plan because from the beginning she had known perfectly well that the blonde would use Noi as a shield for herself. The more they talked, the more confused Noi became. Clearly, both teams were members participating in protecting the city. Mentioning this made the Saber girl extremely angry, pointing at the Blade girl's face and declaring she was the monster who had killed two of her teammates, and she would definitely avenge everyone. The Blade girl wasn't to be trifled with either, giving a weird smile and declaring that today she would hunt Saber. Based on what the Saber girl had just said, Noi could somewhat guess that the blonde might be the culprit behind the recent murder case. The blonde regained her posture and lunged at the Saber girl. The scythe in her hand kept striking down on Saber. The blonde knew Saber was a sniper, so she wouldn't be good at close combat. So, by continuously pressing forward, Saber would naturally lose. The two sides fought fiercely while Noi could only stand and watch. After a few more moves, both of them unleashed their ultimates, shooting straight at each other. The terrifying power immediately caused the entire area to explode with it, creating a large crater. After this attack, the Saber girl was the first to fall, while the blonde wasn't harmed at all. She proudly stepped forward to celebrate her victory. Then she started to taunt Saber, saying that the previous attack couldn't kill her at all. However, due to this arrogance, she exposed a weakness. Saber immediately stood up with her gun and shot straight into the blonde's stomach. The attack from earlier was just bait because Saber needed time to reload her gun. The blonde, hit painfully, collapsed, and Saber approached, pointing her handgun at the blonde's head. Saber shouted, vowing to make the blonde suffer the same pain as her teammates. At this moment, Noi intervened. He threw a stone to deflect Saber's bullet. Saber and Blade fighting each other wasn't right at all. They should be cooperating to protect citizens from monsters. This action by Noi infuriated the Saber girl, who cursed at Noi, calling him an NPC. This term was confusing, and Noi was baffled, trying to make sense of it. The blonde laughed out loud, explaining to Noi that he was just an automatically programmed character. So if Noi died, it wouldn't affect this city at all. Then she lunged at Noi with her scythe and restrained him. Just as the blonde was about to kill Noi, Modus appeared to stop her. Seeing her target being taken, the Saber girl couldn't just stand and watch, so she rushed forward, demanding that Modus not touch her prey. Of course, Modus couldn't agree the blonde was targeting her friend. Due to being distracted arguing about this, they created an opportunity for the blonde to counterattack. She activated a skill, creating countless threads that tightly wrapped around the three of them. If they moved even a little, they would immediately be cut into pieces. After restraining the three, the blonde taunted Modus, mocking the friendship between an NPC and a player. How ridiculous! And what if Noi knew the truth about this world now? Modus immediately became afraid, begging the blonde to stop. But the more she begged, the more the blonde wanted to continue. So she went up to Noi and explained everything to him. This world was just virtual, and the three people standing here, except for Noi, were game players. Noi was stunned and denied it. Clearly, he existed. What was she talking about? Seeing Noi's disbelief, the blonde immediately showed a video as proof. Whenever monsters appeared in the city, the surrounding areas would be devastated by them. But very quickly they would be restored without a scratch. Noi and others felt this was normal, only because their brains were programmed to think so. Everything in this world was controlled by a supercomputer. Blade and Saber were just people from the real world, incarnating as their favorite characters. At this point, the blonde's mood became chaotic. Real or virtual, she didn't care anymore. To her, this was just a trashy world. Saber was very angry at the blonde's actions. For personal reasons, she had killed countless NPCs and even slaughtered other players like herself. At that moment, Cass appeared. She was holding a weapon and rushed straight to the blonde, determined not to let her harm Noi. But Cass was just an ordinary person. How could she have any chance against the blonde? So Cass was badly beaten by the blonde. Noi could only scream, begging her to stop. Of course, the more Noi begged, the more interested the blonde became in tormenting Cass further. Enduring this was enough. Noi couldn't watch Cass being beaten anymore, so he exploded with his power, escaping from the blonde's skill and lunging down to attack her. This startled the entire group of players. Noi then placed Cass aside and picked up the blonde's scythe, pointing it at her face, declaring he would return double the pain to her. The blonde was completely stupefied, not understanding. Noi threw the blonde's scythe away. Although the blonde managed to dodge, somehow it could curve back and attack her. In her final moments, the blonde still couldn't accept this truth. To her, Noi was just an ordinary NPC. Where did he get so much power from? Her body gradually dissipated and became one with Noi. After absorbing the blonde's power, Noi created a battle outfit for himself. In his eyes now, all the information about Modus and the Saber girl appeared. Now Noi had confirmed that everything the blonde said was true. Modus very much wanted to explain to Noi, but she hesitated, not knowing what to say. At this point, the Saber girl ran over to check on Cass. It was just a minor concussion, not life-threatening. Saber gave Cass a healing potion, and after a little rest, Cass would recover. A phone rang. It was time for the Saber girl to log off. Before leaving, she reminded everyone that what happened today was a secret not to be told to others. However, from the roof of a building opposite, two mysterious masked people had been watching their entire battle. They smiled excitedly. From now on, this city would start to get lively. Noi carried Cass back, with Modus walking behind him. This made Noi very uncomfortable, and he drove her away. To him, Modus was now nothing more than a deceptive traitor. Everything she had told him, shared with him about her life, was all fake. She had just been using him. Modus heard this and felt her throat tighten. She could only explain to Noi that what she had said was true. And indeed, today was also the first day she had gone out to play with a friend. She didn't just see Noi as an NPC. Noi gritted his teeth and insisted on leaving, while Modus still followed him all the way home. After finding a suitable place for Cass to lie down, Noi opened the door to invite Modus in. Then he curiously asked Modus about the armor he was wearing. He couldn't wear this armor forever. This made Modus laugh, and she began to teach Noi. From the moment Noi defeated the blonde, the data in his body had changed, but Modus didn't know exactly what had happened. She just knew that Noi might have become a player like her. Noi activated his eyes to look at Modus. Although she was a long-time player, she was still at level 1, a newbie like him. Modus didn't acknowledge this at all. The fact that she didn't grind levels didn't mean she was a newbie like Noi. At least she understood this game better than him. Then Modus began to show Noi step by step how to take off this armor. With a single click, the armor completely disappeared, leaving Noi naked in front of Modus, making her embarrassed. She slapped Noi right in the face, scolding him for being a pervert. After a while, the two calmed down. Modus gently bandaged Noi's wounds, and Noi apologized to her for his harsh words earlier. When given a chance, girls always push forward. Modus sat down, crossed her legs, and reproached Noi. Indeed, Noi's words earlier were very harsh. If she hadn't kept her calm, Noi would have died right there. But Modus didn't do that because Noi was her first friend. In the real world, 10 years ago, Modus had an accident, and since then, she couldn't live a normal life anymore. It wasn't until Vincent introduced her to this game that she could walk freely and have fun like others. In the game, players need to complete different missions, and one of those missions was to confess to Noi. Another mission was to eliminate the monster at school, but Modus couldn't complete any of the missions, which is why she was still at level 1 like this. Hearing this, Noi suddenly remembered an issue that needed to be addressed. He led Modus into his room and asked her to help change clothes for Cass. As a boy, he couldn't do that. Although Modus didn't like it one bit, as a new friend, she couldn't refuse. After a while, Modus had completed her responsibility. She looked around Noi's room once, and when she looked at the photo of Noi and his mother, a memory flashed in her mind, but she couldn't remember what it was. Suddenly, there was a loud noise outside. Noi was restrained and pinned against the wall by 3 men in black. They believed that Noi was the cause of the damaged system data, so they came to fix it urgently. Suddenly, one of the group discovered Noi's bracelet. This was a player's bracelet. Modus rushed out from the room to explain to them. It seemed like this was a misunderstanding. In front of the two, they introduced themselves. They were Nightwolf, responsible for monitoring and fixing bugs for this game. This time, they came to confirm if Noi was the cause of the system error. While Modus was explaining to them, Vincent called to inform her that the old master had returned, so Modus had to disconnect immediately, even though she didn't want to at all. After Modus left, the 3 men began to check on Noi. Suddenly, a ball rolled from somewhere beneath their feet. It was a smoke bomb, and it exploded. From behind, a masked girl rushed in, grabbed Noi, and ran away. The 3 Nightwolf members were stopped by a tall person. When Noi regained consciousness, a monk appeared before him, leaving Noi confused, not understanding what the hell was happening. The girl who kidnapped Noi was also present. She introduced herself as O, or the Black Crow, and the monk sitting in front of Noi was the Zen master. The place where Noi was sitting was the master's Zen temple, a tangible place where Noi could see everything. Noi didn't quite understand and thought the monk was giving him some kind of riddle. Seeing Noi's confusion, the monk gently reminded him not to worry because they were allies. At Noi's house, the man named O was struggling to fight against the 3 Nightwolf agents. He had taken down 2 of them, but they were just copies of Nightwolf. The real one was far beyond his skill level. O couldn't touch him, even when using the flamethrower on his hand to attack. The fierce confrontation between the two caused a loud noise that woke Cass up. After a few more moves, O was subdued by Nightwolf. His skills only went so far, so Nightwolf didn't bother keeping him any longer, directly throwing him into the air and unleashing a palm strike to eliminate him. Cass witnessed this entire scene and screamed in fear at this murderer. Seeing this, Nightwolf gave an evil smile and approached Cass. Normally, he would eliminate Cass immediately. However, this time he would give Cass a chance. From his pocket, he took out a strange egg that spawned a wriggling creature, terrifying Cass. She couldn't resist him, and he choked her, forcing her to swallow the strange creature. Afterward, Cass fainted, and Nightwolf quickly cleaned up the mess in Noi's house. Meanwhile, the monk was explaining more to Noi. He too was once an NPC like Noi. His mission in this world was to unlock skills for players, like an NPC guiding newcomers. The monk knew Noi had many questions, so he allowed Noi to clear his doubts. This troubling issue had been on Noi's mind. If they were just NPCs, what was the purpose of their existence? The monk smiled and explained to Noi. They were indeed NPCs created by the super server. However, that didn't mean they didn't have lives. This was their reality. They were given life and freedom. Many NPCs were created for this purpose, which is why, for the monk in this world, the existence of NPCs was extremely necessary. From his hand, he took out a golden sphere and reminded Noi he was the key to changing this world. The final gear was ready, and the monk was here to help Noi save this world. Everything happened so suddenly that Noi instinctively didn't know how to respond. The monk didn't rush Noi to do anything but gave him the glowing gem. It flew to Noi's chest, and immediately he felt a surge of energy rising in his body. The monk would give Noi more time to think, then recited a spell to send him back. Before leaving, he reminded Noi to be careful of the Nightwolf agents. They would never let an error like Noi exist. In the real world, Modus was being pushed to the dining room by Vincent. As she walked, she was worried about whether Noi was okay. Seeing this, Vincent comforted the young lady, saying that as long as Nightwolf still thought Noi was a player, he would be fine. During dinner with her uncle, Modus asked him about a piece of memory she had just recalled about a mother and child and their father named Gurion. Upon hearing this, Modus's uncle became angry. He banged on the table and stood up, reminding Modus that it was a matter from 10 years ago, so he didn't want Modus to mention it ever again. Noi had now been teleported back to his house by the monk. He ran into the room to check on Cass, who was still safe, allowing him to breathe a sigh of relief. As soon as she saw Noi, she fearfully hugged him and began to recount everything she had witnessed. Seeing this, Noi led Cass outside. Everything was normal, and what Cass had seen was just a dream. Cass still wasn't fully convinced, but if it was just a dream, that was good. Noi knew everything but chose to remain silent to protect Cass, unaware that all his actions were being monitored by Nightwolf through Cass. In the real world, after Modus's uncle left, she curiously asked Vincent about the person named Gurion. Being just a servant, Vincent's knowledge was limited. All he knew was that Gurion was one of the creators of the Gaia game. 10 years ago, he had mysteriously disappeared, coinciding with the time when the young lady had her accident. That's why Modus felt there must be some connection here, because in Noi's room, she had seen a very familiar memory of herself. So Modus asked Vincent to help her find the truth. There were too many things in this world that she didn't know what happened 10 years ago, the purpose of creating that world. Modus wanted to understand it all, and she believed Noi was the key to answering the questions in her heart. The next day, as usual, Noi went to school. Sitting on the bus, he accidentally saw a large TV screen in the city displaying a scene of the high school. A vague memory immediately flooded his mind. The image of a blurry woman appeared, leaving Noi confused, wondering who she was. At this point, Noi remembered what the blonde had told him. This world was just virtual, just an online game. The bus ride ended, and Noi got off with thousands of why questions, walking and not knowing how to handle the situation. At this moment, his friend Haki appeared. He happily ran up to show off his new achievement in the Blade and Saber game. Haki had devoted 100% of his time to grinding, and now he had reached the top 10 in the global rankings. Normally, Noi would have praised Haki and grabbed the device to play a few rounds, but at this point, Noi wasn't in the mood. Haki walked behind Noi, teasing him. Yesterday, Noi had skipped class to date Modus, so Teacher Liu was very angry, and today Noi would surely be punished. Noi still didn't respond and continued walking, which made Haki very curious about what was wrong with Noi today. Just as they approached the school gate, Modus was already there waiting for Noi. As soon as she saw him, she ran over, wanting Noi to follow her. Noi went with Modus, leaving Haki alone to enter the school. The class president found it strange that Haki was going to school alone today. Modus pulled Noi to a secluded corner and began to ask about what happened yesterday after she logged out of the game. So many things had happened that Noi didn't know where to begin. At that moment, the monster alarm began to sound. The story would have to wait. Now Modus and Noi had to go stop it first. Students and civilians quickly ran into the campus, where the safe zone barrier had been established. They would be safe here. The monster descended upon the city, much larger than any monster that had appeared before. Just as it landed, it shot 2 fireballs towards the school. Fortunately, the barrier protected the students, but because of this, they weren't afraid at all, just standing and watching the monster from inside. This angered Teacher Liu, who chased everyone back to class. Noi and Modus had arrived at the scene. Noi activated his device and checked. The levels of both him and Modus were insufficient to fight this monster. It had detected Noi and Modus and launched an attack at them. At that moment, Kaken appeared to save them. He rushed to attack the monster fiercely, then urged the young lady to leave immediately. Modus was still worried. How could Kaken fight this monster alone? Hearing this, Kaken just raised his nose and gave a confident smile. As the young lady's bodyguard, how could this mangy monster trouble him? The battle between him and the monster was intense. From inside the school, Cass could guess that Noi might be there, so she turned around, wanting to run and find him. After a fierce attack on the monster, Kaken's armor burst into flames. He jumped up and down, not knowing how to put out the fire, until Vincent appeared and used a freezing skill to save Kaken's life. Just then, Cass also ran out to the school gate and saw Noi. She fearfully screamed, warning Noi as the monster sneakily attacked the group. A powerful strike caused the barrier around the school to be instantly destroyed. This notification was sent directly to Nightwolf. Normally, he would repair the barrier immediately, but this time, he wanted to see Noi's capabilities first. Modus put on her battle armor. She couldn't just stand by anymore and wanted to fight alongside Kaken and Vincent. The monster ignored them and headed straight for the school. The three of them fought against the monster, while Cass was very scared and just urged Noi to find a safe place to hide. Noi immediately refused. This world was theirs, and they had to act to protect it. Noi didn't hide anything from Cass anymore. He put on the player's battle outfit. Kaken, holding his axe, rushed forward and struck the monster's face. Being in midair, he couldn't avoid its roaring skill and fell straight down, but Noi had rushed in to catch him just in time. Kaken's previous attack had caused the monster to enter phase 2. It cast a spell and began to produce fierce pillars of fire. Noi wanted to rush up to attack, but was stopped by Vincent. According to him, this monster didn't seem to be targeting them. Noi immediately refused. Perhaps to Vincent, the people in this world were just NPCs, but to him, they were all important people he needed to protect. As Noi rushed forward, Modus ran after him. Left with no choice, Vincent and Kaken had to go protect the young lady. But just then, a pillar of fire appeared, blocking their path. Noi rushed to face the monster, wanting to draw his weapon. But somehow, at that critical moment, Noi's system malfunctioned. Without a weapon, he was nothing more than easy prey for the monster. Modus rushed forward with her sword to block the monster's attack. But due to the level difference, she was overwhelmed. Modus's sword shattered just as the monster's attack reached Noi. Taking this hit, Noi immediately passed out. Modus worriedly ran to help Noi up. The monster continued to attack, and at such close range, Modus couldn't dodge either. Fortunately, Kaken had rushed in to take this attack for the young lady. He urgently told Modus to take Noi away from this place, but no matter how much Modus shook him, Noi wouldn't wake up. At this moment, a gunshot rang out. Modus looked at the bullet's trajectory and immediately recognized it was Haku from the Saber defense team. This time, Haku had come with her captain. Cass was also very worried and wanted to go to Noi, but Noi's location was very close to the monster, so Vincent assigned a mission to Kaken. First, they needed to get Cass, who had no abilities, out of this area. Although he didn't like it one bit, Kaken ultimately had to follow Vincent's orders. On Haku's side, she also wanted to join the battle, but her captain temporarily didn't want to get involved in this matter. The monster was called the Burst Witch, a monster that was not easy to deal with at all. Moreover, the group that initiated combat with it was Noi's group, so even if they intervened now, the experience points wouldn't be much, just a waste of effort. This monster was too high level, and Modus's group was too weak. The Saber captain was at a loss. These were orders, so Haku had to obey. She could only help Noi this far. The rest would depend entirely on his abilities. Noi still hadn't woken up, while the monster was frantically attacking. Vincent's abilities had their limits. He couldn't withstand anymore. Just as the monster's attack was about to reach Noi, Cass suddenly exploded with her own power. This startled Nightwolf, who was watching from afar. This shouldn't be possible. He hadn't received any information about this ability of Cass. Though unconscious, Noi's vision was elsewhere. He stood from above, observing everything, including how the monster was bypassing the hardcore Cass and aiming directly at the area where his classmates were gawking. How dare it target Noi? Cass went berserk and couldn't forgive this monster. Modus assigned the task of protecting the students to Vincent, while she continued trying to wake Noi up. It was Noi who had sworn to protect this world. The battle wasn't over yet. How could Noi easily fall like this? She took out a healing potion and gave it all to Noi. Thanks to that, Noi finally woke up, but he seemed very different. With Noi awake, Cass was relieved and collapsed. Nightwolf saw everything. At first, he thought this was just a boring world, but now it seemed much more interesting. The enormous power in Noi's body began to surge. Earlier, he had struggled to draw his weapon, but now it was different. Noi pulled out his scythe. Immediately, the Zen Master received the information and concentrated all his energy to provide more power to Noi. But because of this action, Nightwolf was able to determine the Master's hiding location. With his new power, Noi attacked the monster without caring about his surroundings. It was up to Vincent to protect everyone in the school. After several exchanges, Noi unleashed his skill. Noi swung a few slashes, and immediately, countless red threads appeared on the body of the Burst Witch. Modus immediately recognized this as the blonde's skill. Noi had learned it after absorbing all of her data information. This skill was too powerful. Noi killed the monster instantly. Witnessing everything, Modus now understood. Noi was definitely not an ordinary NPC. Noi landed in front of Modus. She called out to him, but somehow Noi rushed to attack her. It seemed he had lost control. At that moment, the girl O, who was beside the Zen Master, appeared. She delivered an attack directly at Noi, bringing him back to his senses, but in exchange, she also took a hit from Noi. Her mask flew off, revealing her identity. It turned out to be the class president. Noi regained consciousness, confused about what had just happened. So Modus and the class president had to explain everything to him again. This time, the class president had come to help Noi on the Zen Master's orders. She had completed her mission, so she had no reason to stay any longer. Meanwhile, at the Zen Master's hideout, Nightwolf had found his location. Although there was another man named O protecting him, he had absolutely no chance against this terrorist. No matter how many bullets O fired, they were all blocked by Nightwolf. Being so outclassed, shortly afterward, Nightwolf had dragged O into the Zen Master's hideout. He had been searching for the Zen Master for a long time. It was unbelievable that the Master had revealed his location to him like this. Nightwolf activated his power, forcing the Zen Master to reveal his true form. The Master's body began to expand, no longer a child. Just by seeing this, Nightwolf could guess that in order to help Noi, the Master had exhausted all his power. Fighting him in this state wouldn't be any fun, so Nightwolf moved straight to the main issue, forcing the Zen Master to reveal the locations of the other OS. Meanwhile, Noi was in a car with Kaken and Modus. While in the car, Kaken told Noi some interesting things. 10 years ago, Modus's family corporation had created this Gaia game, and today in the real world, a large-scale press conference would be held. Modus also explained some issues to Noi. Gaia was an artificial intelligence created by her uncle to control this game world as a supercomputer. Everything existing in this world was under its control. A little while later, they arrived at Vincent's workplace. He didn't waste time and went straight to the main point. This time, they brought Noi here because there were some issues they needed to confirm with him. In return, Vincent promised to tell Noi the whole truth. Back with the Zen Master, he was trying to convince Nightwolf. If only he would join the Master, they could work together to find true freedom. Hearing this, Nightwolf burst into laughter. He was tired of these nonsensical invitations. This world was created by the Gaia supercomputer. Without Gaia, he wouldn't be alive today. That's why he would have big trouble when people like the Zen Master stood up against Gaia. Destroying Gaia meant destroying this world. That alone was reason enough for Nightwolf to eliminate the Zen Master. Nightwolf knew the Zen Master cared a lot about Noi, so he reminded him not to worry. As a supervisor, he wouldn't let an error like Noi exist for long. At this point, Vincent began his work. First, he checked Noi's personal records. Noi's mother had died in an accident 6 years ago, after which Noi continued to live with his father. Because his father was often busy with work, Noi often went out to play with his two friends, Haki and Cass. Hearing this, Noi couldn't take it anymore. He stepped forward and knocked the documents out of Vincent's hands, scolding him that even if he was just an NPC, his privacy still needed to be respected. Modus immediately stood up and explained to Noi. Investigating Noi's personal life was necessary because she believed there was a clue in it, something connected to this world, so she hoped Noi would cooperate and help them. Afterward, Vincent presented a picture of Noi with his mother, and Vincent's question was, who took this photo? Noi found Vincent's question absurd. Who else but his father? But when Vincent asked for his father's name, Noi, no matter how hard he tried to remember, couldn't recall anything at all. Then Noi fainted immediately afterward. On the Zen Master's side, when Nightwolf threatened Noi's life, the Master couldn't hold back anymore and attacked him. Even though he was pinned against the wall, he didn't give up because Noi was the final hope gear of this world. Even if he had to die, he would risk his life to protect him. After a few more strikes, the Zen Master was defeated by Nightwolf. A little while later, Noi regained consciousness. Although he didn't like it one bit, Vincent had to remind Noi that he had investigated all of Noi's information, and there was no information about the father he mentioned. It's possible that data had been tampered with. Modus brought tea to Noi and mentioned the name Garrido to see if Noi remembered who he was. Just hearing this, Noi's headache returned. Seeing that Noi seemed not to know him, Modus explained it to Noi again. This person was a project engineer in the game, and when she looked at the photo in Noi's room, this name immediately appeared in her thoughts. That's why Modus believed there was a connection here. Things were getting more and more complicated. According to Vincent, Noi was an error in this game. That power of his couldn't come from an NPC, so it would be very dangerous if Nightwolf came looking for him. At this point, Vincent asked Noi if he knew any other NPCs like himself, so Noi told everyone about the Zen Master. After listening to Noi's explanation, Vincent confirmed that the Zen Master was a bug in this world, so he would certainly be a target as well. Downstairs from Vincent's office building, a pair of siblings were moving into a new place. Ramsha, the sister, was very bored and didn't want to move things all day, so her brother had to encourage her that this was the last trip. Just a little more effort and everything would fall into place. Back with Noi, Vincent reminded him to take off his battle outfit. Wearing it on the street would only attract more attention. Modus had to guide Noi again. This time, Noi didn't end up naked. Afterward, Modus's group needed to attend the press conference in the real world. They had to log off urgently, but before leaving, they reminded Noi to be very careful with things outside. He was the primary target of Nightwolf. Noi, in his civilian outfit, went downstairs from the building and was spotted by the Ramsha siblings. He walked until late at night before finally arriving home. Just as he turned on the light, Class President Chinu appeared, startling him. This time, she came to protect Noi's virgin life. Noi didn't understand what she meant at all. After checking that the surroundings were safe, Chinu sat down and explained the situation to Noi. The Zen Master had been captured. Surely, Nightwolf's key target would be Noi. Normally, she would take Noi to school to hide, but the protective barrier at the school had disappeared, and the only person who could change the school's barrier at will would be Nightwolf. Seeing Noi very worried, Chinu sat down to encourage him. She didn't know exactly what the Zen Master's intentions were or what the final hope gear on him was, but she believed the Zen Master had his reasons because he had given all his power to Noi. In response to that, Noi must be strong. Lying on the bed, Noi put his hand on his forehead, thinking about the true meaning of the hope gear. Although he still didn't understand what it was, Noi knew he must protect this world, must protect the people he cared about. Chinu's sleep-talking startled Noi. He ran to check and found her crying, seemingly recalling horrific scenes from the past. The next morning, when Chinu woke up, Noi had already gone to school. He was considerate enough to leave breakfast for her. This was more like Noi taking care of Chinu, even though she came to protect him. Noi ran frantically to school, worried about being late. Just as he arrived, Cass had been waiting for him for a long time. As soon as she saw Noi, she ran to hug him. Yesterday, when she woke up and didn't see Noi anywhere, Cass was very scared that she wouldn't see Noi again. While they were chatting, a voice called out to Noi from the staircase. It was Nightwolf. As Chinu had predicted, he had come to the school to wait for Noi. Noi angrily cursed at him for what he had done to this world and to the Zen Master. Nightwolf laughed and reassured Noi not to worry about the Zen Master because he had handed him over to another guest. As for Noi, he would have to go with Nightwolf. Nightwolf fired an electric beam to prevent Cass from being in danger. Noi jumped out to block this attack, then immediately passed out. You can touch others, but you can't touch her crush once again. Cass's power surged. She destroyed everything around, forcing Nightwolf to stop. This power of Cass impressed Nightwolf, so he decided to stop here today and disappeared immediately. After that, Cass carried Noi back to the classroom. When the door opened, applause erupted. Classmates rushed in to praise Noi for hiding his skills so well. They thought Noi was just an ordinary kid, but who would have thought he was a member of the Blade team? Since Noi had just saved the entire class yesterday, several girls in the class had fallen for him. They even reminded Noi to read their letters. Letters. Noi went to his desk and started searching but couldn't find any. So he turned to ask Haki if he knew anything, but Haki responded very coldly and unpleasantly. This made Noi think Haki was still mad about yesterday, so after class, Noi had to chase after him to explain. For Haki, Noi was now like a superhero, while he was just a game-addicted otaku. They were in two different worlds, so Haki thought they couldn't continue being friends anymore. Noi knew what Haki was implying. The harsh truth was like that. But if Haki still considered him a friend, Noi promised to tell him everything. Haki's eyes immediately lit up. He had been waiting for just this from Noi. Having already promised, Noi had to comply, but not here. Noi immediately pulled Haki to Vincent's office building, but he hadn't returned yet. It seemed the press conference in the real world hadn't ended yet. Just then, a dog pounced on Noi, licking his face all over. It was Ramsha's dog. To make up for this rude behavior, Ramsha invited Noi and Haki to her newly opened cafe. Being invited by a girl, Haki agreed immediately, and Noi could only sigh. Well, Vincent wasn't back yet, so killing some time there would be fine. Sitting in the cafe, Noi told Haki everything he knew. This was just a virtual world that had been programmed. Haki didn't know if Noi was telling the truth. But even if so, it was hard to accept. So Haki took out his gaming device and started musing. So, you're just a character in a game. But that's cool too, because no matter what, you're still a gamer existing in this world. Haki's quick acceptance surprised Noi. Before, he had been very troubled by this issue. If he had known Haki was this optimistic, he would have told him long ago. At this point, Ramsha brought coffee to them. While drinking, Haki noticed that Ramsha kept standing in a corner, watching Noi. It seemed she was interested in his friend. Hearing this, Noi immediately blushed, and also remembered what Vincent had warned him. People from the real world saw him as a disaster, so he had to be very careful. Indeed, Noi looked back at Ramsha. She was no different from others, but he wasn't allowed to trust anyone here. There could be someone from the real world monitoring him. Ramsha even winked at Noi, which made Haki certain she was interested in him. Noi didn't think so, which made Haki very annoyed. He banged on the table and declared himself a love expert, able to recognize it at a glance. In the real world, Modus was very worried about Noi, not knowing if he was okay. They said they were returning for a press conference, but even now, Modus's preparations had just been completed. The press conference hadn't officially started yet. Noi and Haki were sitting peacefully, enjoying coffee, when suddenly the cafe owner approached them, asking how they found his coffee. Noi, not knowing anything about coffee, didn't dare to give much evaluation and could only praise it as very delicious. This compliment made the cafe owner very happy. Seeing Noi and Haki as good, nimble kids, he offered them a job. If they had time off from school, they could come work at the cafe, and in return, he would provide them with free coffee. Haki's eyes lit up, and he quickly turned to ask for Noi's opinion. Noi was still hesitant, not knowing how to answer. Just then, Cass appeared at the door of the store and ran in to greet Noi. Finding Cass too cute, Ramsha couldn't help but rush over to hug her. Being hugged by a stranger like this made Cass a bit worried. The cafe owner had to separate Ramsha from her, which made Ramsha very annoyed. She protested that she was just attracted to cute things. Suddenly, Ramsha's pet dog started barking fiercely. Right after that, the city's monster alarm sounded. Somehow, the coordinates of its appearance were exactly at the cafe's location. People were scared and ran away in a panic. The cafe owner activated his device to check the situation. Noi was shocked to discover that the owner was a player from the real world. Unlike other times, this time the monster emerged from underground. They had expected something frightening, but it turned out to be just a mole, which disappointed both the cafe owner and Ramsha. The cafe had just opened, and they were already experiencing such bad luck. Perhaps they needed to exorcise the bad luck through this monster. The two spoke with such confidence that Noi immediately realized they were veteran players. He activated his device for a quick check, and indeed, the levels of these two were far above his. Then the cafe owner and Ramsha simultaneously put on their battle outfits. Even Ramsha's pet dog had armor. Their attack began. The cafe owner took out a bomb and shouted for everyone to cover their ears. He threw a sonic bomb, and while the monster was paralyzed by the sound, Ramsha, with her gun, rushed forward and shot directly at the monster's legs. Then she whistled, ordering her pet dog to cut off the monster's leg. They fought so fiercely that Cass became worried. She advised Noi to leave this place, but of course, Noi refused. He had Haki take Cass to a safe place, while he put on his armor to join the cafe owner in battle. From the beginning, the owner knew Noi wasn't an ordinary person. This monster was their mission, but if Noi could kill it, the owner would give all the rewards to Noi. Noi didn't care as he drew his sword. He didn't need any rewards. He was doing this to protect his world and his loved ones. Noi charged forward to attack the monster along with Ramsha. Their combo was so fierce that the monster had to burrow underground to escape. The team quickly followed the hole it had dug below. The sight before them was astonishing. The place was filled with strange egg sacs. The cafe owner took out a light stick and threw it at the eggs. Immediately, small monsters broke out of their cocoons. There were too many of them, making the cafe owner a bit nervous. He immediately pulled Noi out of the hole, leaving a grenade inside. Meanwhile, Ramsha was still wandering in the cave with her pet dog. The cafe owner carefully threw a few more grenades to eliminate the monsters, but it was completely ineffective. They broke through the ground and emerged, targeting the cafe where Haki and Cass were hiding. Cass was so scared she screamed, startling Noi. He immediately grabbed his sword and rushed to support them. These monsters weren't very strong. When Noi slashed just a few times, they became too scared to advance. Seeing that Noi seemed to be their nemesis, they changed their target to Secretary Momoka. On one side was the safety of Cass and Haki, and on the other was Momoka screaming for help. Noi was confused, not knowing how to act correctly. This wasn't a good approach, so Haki immediately came up with an idea. He turned and called Cass to go up to the second floor with him. Up there, they wouldn't block Noi anymore, allowing him to go save Momoka. Afterwards, Haki broke the emergency glass and shouted to remind Noi. Noi immediately understood Haki's intention and called out to the cafe owner. The owner immediately threw Noi a sonic grenade. Taking advantage of the monsters being stunned, Noi rushed to Momoka and saved her. There were too many monsters, so Noi had Momoka jump on his back. Haki and Cass had run to the second floor to hide. Haki carefully arranged tables and chairs to block all entrances, firmly believing they would be temporarily safe. But no, the entire building began to shake violently. Noi, carrying Momoka, ran out of the building when the mole rose up, the tremor throwing both Noi and Momoka. The monster turned to attack the cafe owner. After a while, Noi regained consciousness. Inside the cafe, Haki was getting more and more scared. If they stayed here, they would eventually become food for the monsters. They needed to find a way out first. Looking around, Haki only saw the window as a viable option. But jumping from the second floor like this would likely break their legs. Haki and Cass didn't know what to do when larvae from the roof descended, surrounding them. Cass and Haki were so scared they backed away. When they were in the most danger, Ramsher returned just in time. With her gun, she sniped all the disgusting larvae. Outside the cafe, Noi sat still next to the monster. Since this one was quite similar to a blind mole, as long as they didn't make any noise, it wouldn't detect them. But at that moment, Momoka woke up. Seeing such a large monster, she was so scared she screamed, alerting the monster to their presence. Having to both fight and protect Momoka, Noi wasn't sure if he could handle it. Cass stood dumbfounded, looking at Noi, remembering the days when Noi had risked himself to protect her. It was time for her to protect Noi in return. Ramsha, seeing the situation wasn't good, wanted to take out a stun grenade to support Noi, but the larvae were attacking her too fiercely. Ramsha had no opening to do that. A sonic bomb rolled to Cass's feet, so she immediately picked it up and threw it out the window. The loud explosion once again attracted the monster. It didn't like this sound at all, so it turned and fired a shot at where Cass and Haki were standing. The cafe owner was surprised by Cass's action. Although she was just an NPC, who would believe she also had emotions like humans? At this point, the city's reinforcements had also arrived. The cafe owner immediately jumped onto a robot to fight the monster, while Noi collapsed, blaming himself for being too weak to protect Haki and Cass. The emotional power in Noi was gradually surging. Although the cafe owner had new equipment, fighting the monster was still very difficult. He launched an attack directly at its face, but it remained unharmed. It turned its gun towards him and began to charge. The distance was too close for the cafe owner to react in time. Just as disaster was about to strike, Noi once again stood up. This time, his power had fully erupted. Pillars of fire began to appear at Noi's command, surrounding the monster and burning it to ashes. The calls of Cass and Haki sounded from the roof of a building. They were still safe because they had been rescued by the class president. Seeing this, Noi could finally breathe a sigh of relief, while the cafe owner, the more he watched Noi fight, the more he felt something was wrong. It seemed Noi wasn't just an ordinary bug. Everything was over. Cass ran to hug Noi tightly. Seeing them unharmed was such a relief. Noi sighed in relief, thanking the class president for her assistance. Although they were now safe, Momoka was still very worried. The workplace had been destroyed. The streets had holes everywhere. What would she say when Vincent returned? In the real world, the press conference was just officially beginning. All the reporters' questions had been anticipated by the chairman, who had prepared a set of answers for this situation. But a question from a blonde girl made him a bit flustered. According to what she had gathered, it seemed this VR game had instabilities for players, evidenced by a major incident during its development 10 years ago. Back with Noi's group, seeing everyone so dejected after the battle, Noi asked the cafe owner about his passionate interest in coffee. Once the topic was raised, the cafe owner had already prepared a song about it. For him, coffee was like a gift bestowed by the gods. Its rich flavor and sharp sweetness made him remember it endlessly. Opening a cafe had been his dream for a long time. In the real world, it remained just a dream, but in the game world, it was different. He could freely enjoy and remember the flavor of coffee as if it were real. Noi just gave generic praise because he knew nothing about coffee. At this point, the cafe owner stopped and approached Noi. he extended his hand, inviting him, saying there were no rules prohibiting players and NPCs from becoming friends. Once again, he seriously invited Noi to work part-time at his cafe. Noi smiled and declined the offer. They could become close friends, but working part-time for him was not possible because Noi needed to dedicate time to his friends. For today, Noi excused himself from the cafe owner and Ramcha. Noi knew they were both good people, but they were from the real world, while he was just an NPC. So Noi still adhered to the principles and warnings from Modus not to trust anyone. The cafe owner found Noi more and more interesting. After Noi's group had left far enough, he called his sister down. It turned out Haku had been observing from the rooftop for a long time. As soon as she saw Haku, Ramcha rushed to hug her. This time, the cafe owner and Ramcha approached Noi out of curiosity, based on Haku's stories, and indeed, Noi was exactly as Haku had described. So for the next action, the cafe owner thought they should observe Noi first, partly because he liked Noi, and partly because their team leader had instructed them not to intervene. Haku immediately agreed. If they acted too rashly, the system would immediately delete Noi. At this point, Ramcha reminded the cafe owner that their cafe had only been open for one day and was already burned to the ground. In the real world, the chairman was very angry at the reporter's question. To him, this was his life's passion, a project that had been going on for 10 years. So even if there were technical errors, test players still provided very positive feedback. Further arguing would be futile, so the reporter shifted her attention to Modus. If talking about the test 10 years ago, according to the information she had gathered, Miss Modus had also participated in that test. Immediately, the attention of all reporters turned to Modus. This made Kaken very angry. He wanted to rush out to stop her, but was blocked by Vincent. At this point, acting rashly would ruin everything. Conveniently, at that moment, the chairman wanted to announce something. Regarding his granddaughter Modus, he declared she would be his successor. From a young age, Modus had been sickly, but thanks to this game, she had been able to regain her freedom. And it was precisely because of this that the chairman tried to develop this game further. No matter who you are in the real world, as long as you play this game, you can freely do what you want. And he asserted that injuries or death did not exist in the game. Everything the female reporter had just said was nonsensical rumors. He threatened everyone in the hall. If anyone else had a dissenting opinion, he would consider them his adversary. The chairman's eloquent speech received countless applauses from reporters. At this point, no one dared to ask him any more questions. Afterwards, the class president visited Noi's house to bandage his wounds. Noi then took a bottle of medicine to her, expressing his desire for Chinu to train him. This incident was entirely thanks to Chinu. Noi knew he could never protect Cass and Haki if he remained this weak. Chinu sighed and accepted Noi's request. Noi had plenty of will, but was just a bit unskilled. So Chinu would teach him how to attack and defend in the most reasonable way. Noi's training began right after that. In the real world, Kaken and Vincent were being scolded by the chairman for letting Miss Modus log into the game on their own. Her body was very weak, so the chairman didn't want to cause any harm to his next successor. Kaken was still trying to explain, which only made the chairman angrier. Vincent was much wiser, directly admitting his fault and apologizing to the chairman. However, the fact that he had brought Miss Modus into the game was still true, so the chairman decided to fire them. At this point, Modus spoke up to ask for leniency for the two of them. Since childhood, her body had been too weak. She couldn't go outside, couldn't make friends, or touch pets. Modus felt too alienated and lonely, so she asked them to let her into the game world. Modus's tears flowed freely, moving the chairman's heart. He quickly rushed to console his granddaughter. Well, at least Modus was still unharmed, but he still had to remind her that if anything was not good for her body, she had to stop immediately. Noi's training was very intense. Noi was punched by Chinu until his eyes were black and blue, but he still didn't stop. It wasn't until both of their stomachs growled with hunger that Chinu embarrassedly decided to cook. This time, it was to repay Noi for letting her stay. At that moment, the doorbell rang. It was Cass bringing food for Noi. Seeing an extra pair of shoes in Noi's house, Cass froze. Her anger peaked when she saw Noi and Chinu alone together. Afterwards, Noi tried to explain to Cass that Chinu was only there to protect and train him. Of course, Cass didn't believe it. A boy and a girl staying together in one place wasn't safe at all. So Cass decided to take on the mission of protecting Noi, to send Chinu away. Hearing this, Chinu immediately retorted, asking why she should listen to Cass's orders. When two women argue, a boy like Noi couldn't intervene, so he went to take a bath to be safe. In the kitchen, Cass and Chinu prepared the meal together. Cass acted like she had the upper hand, being familiar with everything in Noi's house. Chinu didn't want to be outdone and displayed her skillful knife techniques, carving a carrot into a statue, surprising Cass. Cass's competitive spirit surged. She was determined not to lose to Chinu in this battle. Because she was too focused on Chinu, the fish pan Cass was frying started to burn with smoke billowing out. She panicked and screamed. Noi, wrapping a towel around himself, rushed out to check. Appearing like that in front of girls was inappropriate. Chinu angrily rushed to punch Noi in the face. That punch caused the remaining towel on Noi's body to fall off, exposing his private parts. At that moment, Kaken and Modus arrived at Noi's house. Modus embarrassedly screamed, while Kaken pulled out his gun and fired continuously at Noi for daring to soil the mind of his young lady. After a while, the misunderstanding was cleared. Sitting in the living room, Kaken explained the current situation to Noi. Tomorrow was a day off, so he and Modus had a ton of time to play. So they decided to come here to invite Noi to join them. Wherever Noi went, Cass followed, and Chinu, jealous, jumped in wanting to go too. Modus agreed to everything because the more, the merrier. As for the destination, it would be decided by Kaken. He had already thought of this. They would go to the sea, a cool blue beach perfect for a short vacation. In the real world, Vincent let a nurse in to check on the young lady. Seeing that all of the young lady's parameters were still normal, he felt reassured and left her with the nurse. Just as Vincent left, the nurse changed 180 degrees. She gave a weird smile and began to have disrespectful actions towards Miss Modus. The very next day, Noi's group headed to the beach. This time, Vincent wasn't present, making Noi feel a bit of absence, but it didn't matter. Since they had already arrived, they had to play to the fullest. Kaken went back to the car to open the trunk to get their things, and somehow, Haki was already lying there. Not wanting to be left alone, Haki had secretly sneaked into the car to follow them here. In another corner, cafe owner Hakurin was holding his telescope, scouting for pretty girls at the beach. Seeing this, Ramsha immediately knocked him on the head, reminding him to focus on the mission. His sister Haku appeared right after. The fact that she woke up early on a Sunday to log into the game surprised Hakurin. Just as he uttered this, he was hit by Ramsha again. Hakurin really didn't understand girls' minds at all. After a while, Noi's group had changed into their swimwear. Cass happily ran to show Noi, then pulled his hand, wanting to go swimming with her. Chinu appeared to stop them. Noi had to go with her so she could protect him. So Chinu and Cass continued to argue. Modus had also changed into her swimsuit, radiating beauty and attracting all the attention of Haki and Noi, which made Chinu and Cass quite uncomfortable, but they couldn't do anything. The group's first game was beach volleyball. They played very happily, but Modus just sat in a corner. Finding it strange, Noi approached to curiously ask her. Modus strictly adhered to her rules. She couldn't be too close to other NPCs. That would change their personalities, except for Noi, of course. Hearing this, Noi also sat down and opened up to Modus. Since meeting her, his world had changed a lot. In his view, no matter who Modus was or where she came from, she could still blend in with everyone. This was a new world for Modus, so Noi still advised her to make more friends. That way, she would have more choices in the future. At this point, the ball rolled to her feet. So Modus followed Noi's advice, took the ball, and ran to ask everyone to let her play too. Of course, everyone agreed. Since it was her first time playing, Modus wasn't used to it. But after a few volleys, she caught on quickly. While playing, Kaken noticed this was the first time he had seen the young lady smile so brightly. After volleyball, the group went swimming, then built sand castles. All activities were very joyful. Afterwards, Noi and Modus sat in a corner to chat. Suddenly, Noi saw a strange white-haired girl and pointed her out to Modus. But in the blink of an eye, she had already disappeared. Noi found it very strange, but didn't worry too much about it. He took Modus on a canoe to the middle of the sea to play. Once again, Noi saw that white-haired girl. Just by looking, he had a feeling that this girl was very familiar. Surely he had met her somewhere. After trying to recall, Noi remembered that this girl had appeared on a news bulletin about an accident. At that moment, Noi saw her swimming underwater. Noi quickly jumped down to check, but immediately lost track of her. The more he thought about it, the stranger it felt. He convinced himself he was hallucinating, but Modus completely believed Noi. If Noi said he saw her, then she must be real. The question was just why she was appearing and disappearing like that. On the beach, Cass and Chinu were already bored. They sat on the sand to rest. Seeing Noi constantly by Modus's side made Cass a bit jealous. At this point, Chinu spoke up to advise Cass to give up, because even an outsider like her knew that Noi had no feelings for Cass at all. Cass knew this, but how could she abandon Noi so easily? At this moment, Chinu's phone rang. She answered, but the other end had already hung up. Chinu tried to call back but received no response. That was enough for her to understand that something was wrong. In the city, Nightwolf had captured Chinu's teammate, from whom he had obtained a lot of information about her, and decided to pay them a visit for fun. The monster alarm sounded once again. Wherever Noi went, monsters appeared there. A gigantic kraken appeared and targeted a tourist ship. It was very close to where Noi and Modus were, so they didn't think much, directly put on their battle outfits, and rushed to protect the innocent people.